right now. Today's show on Matt and Ryan, we're going to talk about the migrant crisis, the Chinese California fires, and George Soros and his personal migrants.
Personal migrants?
Yeah, well, cool.
Little slave caravan down there?
Maybe. All right, let's talk about the migrant crisis first here.
All right, what do you want to talk about in the migrant crisis there, Ryan?
Well, first of all, where'd they come from? What the hell are they doing down there?
Well, apparently they came from Venezuela, Guatemala, a lot of southern American places. Brazil, I'm sure, is included in there.
So we've been seeing a lot of propaganda as far as Venezuela and those governments down there going to crap in a handbasket, if you will.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you flip on the news and you're seeing one image of the migrant crisis, then you're seeing a whole nother propaganda news article how Venezuela went to crap in a handbasket.
Yeah, that's apparently why these migrants are a whole lot of these migrants are trying to flee Southern America or Venezuela in specifically because of the fact that they are going to hell in a handbasket down there.
So obviously they see what's going on in America. They see Donald Trump and what he's doing, and obviously they want to be part of it. That's what I'm getting out of it. These guys want to be part of the Trump.
That's
the Trump train. They want to jump on the choo Trump train, right? I
think so. Actually, I've seen videos of Mexican nationals. Oh, so I remember seeing a Mexican
slave to his phone over here.
It rings and I can't help it.
But AI technology, right?
Video of a woman from Mexico basically saying that she's on board with Trump. She's completely okay with the way he's handling the crisis, the way that he supports his own people and his own country first before others. She understood that, and of course, you're not gonna see anything like that on mainstream media.
No.
I saw it on the Next News Network. I do believe.
Yeah, I like those guys. You're watching the Next News Network.
Yeah.
In case you want to use that little clip there, that'd be super sweet. My wife watches you guys every day. Yeah, I love those guys. I like those guys. I like the RT News. They always put some good topics on there. But you never really hear that kind of side of the angle. Like, let's put ourselves in the perspective of those migrant people for a second. What are they doing? They're obviously going to chase the American dream and come to the land of opportunity.
I don't care. They're not allowed to.
No, they're not. Okay. Okay. So what's actually going on here? What do we know?
I know?
What do we know? What have we found out? Well, this has been a big
I guess it's incredibly arrogant to say what do I know for sure. But what do I think?
What have you heard?
What I've heard, the information that I've gathered from the information that I've found, essentially, the Democrats are still fucking freaking out about. There's an F-bomb, sorry, but the Democrats are still freaking out over their loss of the presidency. Their win, this blue wave that was apparently supposed to happen, was more like a blue ripple. Right, so they didn't get the effects that they wanted to.
You're talking about this last election here?
Yeah, and
you think this was but didn't this start before the election?
No, let me finish why I think it has anything to do with the Democrats first. So the Democrats, as you know, or I shouldn't say the Democrats. George Soros is well known within the Democratic community from being
You're talking about the Democratic Socialist National Convention? The Democratic Socialists?
I'm talking about people
Democrats?
like Hillary Clinton, people like George Soros, the Koch brother, how do I say that? Goldman Sachs, the ulterior.
Let's just call him Cock, because that's what they're associated with, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, one could associate them with that, right?
Pretty sure, yeah.
I do.
All right,
yeah. So we got you want to Soros, Hillary Clinton,
the
Clinton family, the Clinton.
Essentially, anyone that.
What about the Bushes?
Bloomberg's. I don't know about the Bushes. There's not a whole lot of information about their back dealings.
There's not.
I mean, there is, but I'm not.
Just not in that sector. Yeah, not in the caravan crisis
or whatever.
Okay.
So anyway, these people are. I feel stupid trying to argue this point. If you look at what happened in Europe a couple years ago, like 2014, they had a huge migrant crisis. At the same time,
the
EU is trying to basically take control of Europe. No country could make their own rules. Brexit happened. or was talked about happening. Like that's what formulated it. All kinds of this stuff. So George Soros and the Clinton Foundation and all those other people were very, on paper, from like what you read on WikiLeaks, were very involved with that whole situation. Like the State Department in Libya. Like why did they go to war with Libya? Because Gaddafi wanted to back his dollar with gold, and then he was getting away from like central bank notes and shit like that. So they got pissed, killed the dude.
You told me money was the root of that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it always is. If you ever hear the term "follow the money"? That's
all right. Well, let's follow the money. We're talking about the migrant crisis. Where's the money? So these guys are getting paid. It says here, $4.4 million to the day.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that number's probably changed since me saying that.
When was it?
That was.
Like when?
Oh hell, that was October. That was last month. So we don't know what it is today.
Yeah.
Well, at least we in this room don't know. So $4.4 million in food, in shelter, in care for these migrants as they travel on their journey to America.
$4.4 million from who?
Well, that's the question,
Soros.
Isn't it?
George Soros. Come on.
Well, this article here,
he did the same shit. It's the same thing that's happening in Europe. They're trying to destabilize
the
United States government, and especially with this administration. They hate this administration. They're trying to do anything and everything they can to make them look bad.
So is that what you're saying with as far as the blue wave? That's why they did it before the midterm elections?
Yeah, because they aren't getting any of the results that they fucking needed or wanted.
Because the biggest issue against Trump was that they want to use the word "quote unquote" racist because of his
that's
view.
Dead though. Like,
let's just throw it out there. That's what. Anytime you're said anything with immigration, as far as implementing any kind of policy to protect the homestead, to protect the homeland, it's racism.
I think you're a complete dumbass if you think that. If you are one of those people, like, listen, if you're one of those people that think someone's racist because they believe in sovereignty or borders of the country that they live in,
you're dumb.
You're a dumbass. You're like, would you let one of these people come in your house?
They're just ignorant. They're just so ignorant because they choose to be.
There's an analogy to everyone. Oh, well, that's pretty common. Like, why would you have a door on your house? Well, why the fuck would? Yeah, no, that's a valid question. Why would you have a door to where someone has to knock on it first before you get let in? They knock. Why do they knock? Because they can't just walk in. They knock. So you answer the door so you get familiar with that person and make the decision.
So this is what we do now.
No.
This is what we do now.
Fuck off. I don't
is
want
that
F-bomb. Sorry. I'm trying to control this.
This is, don't apologize to me. Apologize to the viewers.
The viewers. I'm sorry.
Look,
my IQ point is way above 120. So.
So this is what we do know about the migrant caravan people. Some of them were found out to be criminals. Some of them were deviant. However, we can't assume that all of them are. So let's give them benefit of the doubt. We know they're funded by shell corporations based out of Chicago, Illinois, I believe, an immigration little nonprofit out of there, 501(c), not 3C, 501(c), and they're the ones funding this whole evolution. Meanwhile, George Soros dumped a huge wad of a load of his money and funds onto this nonprofit organization prior to the migrant caravan incident, or whatever you want to call this.
I don't even want to call it an
journey. Their journey to America, for whatever reasons. We know Soros's motives. We know what his intentions are. We know what the Democratic people's intention is. We know what the Socialist Democrats' intentions are. We know who's starting and who's funding this organization. I think it's only fair for us to be open and honest with, as far as our government and administration, with our intentions. And the intentions of President Trump is to not allow these people in. And if you try to come in after being told not to come in,
we'll shoot you in the face with a tear gas can.
Force will be used. So the news today was children are barefoot in diapers and choking on tear gas.
Oh, I bet you there's probably children carrying away, smaller children,
So if you know, and these people,
diapers.
every footage I've ever seen these migrants, they got cell phones, they got different resources, technology.
That's what kills me about the media, because every time the media goes out there and they'll take all these pictures, it's like a congregation of people standing around, and you see like 8 to 10 of them in a group of like 30 doing this shit. Right?
Right, on their phones. And how are they traveling so fast? Whether you show video footage and it's just them walking next to us.
Well, my question is how come freaking they get cell phone service all the way in northern Mexico, and I have trouble getting it down the street? Like, what the hell? Verizon, you're messing up, dude.
Man, so these caravan dudes, they're obviously part of the political agenda. Whether they're taking advantage of that to travel to America because they really do want to jump on the Trump train or not, they have to go through a vetting process that President Trump, our president of the United States of America, has outlined to these people. You will not come in illegally. Now, there is a legal due process for people who wish to come here, quote unquote, legally. So I think that's pretty clear. So when they don't go through the legal process and they try to jump the wall or send their child, which is child endangerment, by the way. There's barbed wire. There's a 10. How tall is the wall? I wonder how tall that wall is.
Only like 40 feet or 30.
It's irrelevant. Even if it was 50, even if it was 5 feet, if you threw your child over a 5-foot wall and they fell, somebody would call child services on you and have you reported and have you arrested and your child taken away from you. If you threw your child over a 5-foot wall with a military on the back end and they used tear gas against your family because they wanted to take you out for sending your child over that wall, there's no harm, no foul on the note. You put them in the situation, Unfortunately, that child has to be raised by
at me. I'm gonna hit you with some tear gas.
Yeah, it's unfortunate your child has to be through that process. It's really bad parenting here. Why would you put your child through that? There's means and ways to come to America in a way that's not crawling underneath a fence, digging a hole like El Chapo, a tunnel, the giant tunnels.
Say that name, man.
El Chapo, El Chapo, El Chapo, El Chapo.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. There's no need to do that. There's ways to come here legally. My family came here legally. We chose to be indentured servants. And I didn't choose. My ancestors did. Came to Virginia.
Right, man.
Yeah. And then chose to stay here as indentured servants and earn their citizenship that way. Now all you gotta do is just request it through the government. You come here on a student visa, work visa. You can go through a vetting process. It's easy day.
Yeah, I actually lived with a dude from Japan when I lived in Seattle before I joined the military. I lived out in Seattle for a little bit, like a year and a half or something, 2 years. Anyway, he was here on a student visa. His name was Hirotaka. I won't say his last name, but he was Japanese, super Japanese, man. Like, didn't understand any slang words. So it was really fun to mess with him, say, like whole sentences in slang.
Sure.
But no, he was here on a student visa, and he had been here for about 6 years and renewed his visa twice while he was over here. So he only got like 2 years at a time, I believe. So,
Well, it's like the Saudi guys in the flight program.
Yeah,
they're here on student visas. They came here in a legal manner. They uphold the rules and regulations. They have a driver's license. They have privileges.
Yeah.
But they're not
amazing because they cannot drive they can't drive. Dude.
Yeah, the one guy he got what? 3 tickets
in the first summer.
He wasn't here more than a month.
And they're like, yeah, come on in, fly some planes.
But people come here all the time. Trump hasn't closed the borders for people who want to come here legally.
No.
There's no sense of, the racism is the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life.
Well, for that, if you think like I said, if you think someone's racist for.
The word racism is dumb. It shouldn't be, very few times can the word racist be used. And I promise you, it's not anybody in political office that's racist, except for the people who weren't elected into political office, who are proven through videos and interviews that they are racist. And there's video evidence of that. And by that, I'm talking about Hillary Clinton.
A super predator?
Yeah, I'm talking about that.
I mean, like, was it the most recent one that I thought? Like, people are always complaining about the cultural appropriation crap, right? So Hillary Clinton's at a speech and says some crap about needing some hot sauce. Like, And no Democrat on the planet said shit about it. Oh, it's because she understood. Like, really? You imagine if
Trump said that?
Yeah, if Donald Trump or anyone on the conservative side said some crazy, like, not crazy because it's not really that crazy.
It's not. It's a word.
The way,
words.
But the way the left portrays this shit.
This is the thing that people judge other people in this world based on their words and not their actions. If they judged Donald Trump, the president of the United States, on his actions, they would not be saying these such foolish things.
I think here pretty soon it's going to come down to that. I think it's going to come to a point where they can't deny it anymore. If he wins this next election, then for sure, like, if they continue with
even if he doesn't win, I don't think he needs to even win. I think it's a matter of time. I'm talking months. I think even at the new year,
if he doesn't win, another Republican that has the same type of mindset needs to win. Because if not, all this is for nothing. And damn well. As far as politically going, it's a lot of people argue that the politics of it, like, we have no control over it, which to a degree, I agree with that.
I could argue both ways. I could argue both ways, and I could argue.
But you cherry pick, I guess intentionally sometimes. Like,
I could say this
sometimes. I don't even know them doing it.
If we didn't have choice, if we didn't have some sort of influence over the election, then President Trump would have never got elected. Because in the eyes of America, that was a miracle, and it shouldn't have happened. You got Hillary Clinton literally rigging the election to win. Rigging it against her own people. No, she rigged it. It's very evident that the Democratic Party has always rigged elections. They've always used it as a put, or even the Republicans with Bush having them do a recount in Florida. Mm-hmm. That was completely unconstitutional and illegal. And it was done why? Because his brother was the governor and ordered the recall vote. Right. And with that vote, he took presidency. But besides that point, you look at the actual electoral college, there's people there not even freaking voting.
Well, yeah, no.
They're representing millions of people, and they're not casting a vote. And newsflash for people, if you haven't read your history book, or if even history books today read the same thing that mine read, you can't win the presidency with popular vote alone.
No. That's not how it works. It's not even alone. Like, you can't win.
You can't win. Yeah, it's just not
really
happening.
Lose with the popular vote. It's all the electoral.
It's all that. It's all a bunch of people
like that forever. And
that are supposed to, it's ridiculous. I don't even know why. I want to dig in because I don't know exactly why that electoral process. But then again, I don't know things like the Federal Reserve Act, like how that was passed. But I do. Yeah, I do. Behind closed doors on Christmas Eve and things like that. Yeah.
Family, they were all into banking before oil.
Yeah, we got to do another episode.
Yeah, we'll do an episode on that.
I can talk about money.
We went off pretty far. That was supposed to be on migrants and George Soros.
Next topic is the Chinese. China.
All right. So the big deal about China here lately is there's been reports over a number of years, so 4 years essentially, as far back as I've found, since 2014, that Mexico has made military trade deals with China and presumably Russia and other communist countries. Okay. There's also been reports that there's a large number of tanks, Chinese tanks, and I believe that would be like a Type 99. I can't remember what the hell of it. But anyway, they're modern tanks, all right? Over 1,000 apparently is what the report is.
Now that's a big number. That's a big number.
Okay. Let's put it this way:
1,000 tanks.
The United States has, I'm pretty sure, anywhere from 38 to 4,200 M1 Abrams tanks. That's active duty and reserve and all that stuff. The M1 Abrams has only been battle tested against like prior generation tanks, so like the T-72, T-55s, tanks that don't stand a chance to modern technology, essentially. So it's hard to say how dangerous this tank is because it's never been tested in actual battle, at least, and not to my knowledge. And if it has, the United States.
We're talking about the Chinese tank right now?
You're talking about the Chinese tank. All right, so I'm trying to anyway. So there's reports that all these.
So they've never really battle tested this tank. So we don't know.
You got to think about China. Like, okay, the only way to battle test anything is if you're at war with somebody. And what wars has China been in?
So they've tested their own selves. Obviously,
like technical. Like we're gonna put it down.
I think that's irrelevant though, because even if you had 1,000 is a big number. If you have 1,000 dudes with a bazooka with a rocket launcher on their shoulder, and you shoot that towards Texas, Texas,
Tejas.
you know, there's going to be some damage, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
These people should be. It should be alarming. That should be alarming number 1,000. But let's talk about how they got there. I think that's important
through trade, essentially. So
because 1,000 is a big number, and tanks are unique.
Well, there's factories there. That's the argument. These trade deals. So there's factories that build these tanks and other armored vehicles.
Wait, are you implying that the Mexican factories
look it up
are building? I'm not saying I'm gonna take your word.
Don't believe.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah,
because this is
news
to me
that I've found through the skitter scatters of the ends of the web or internet.
Yeah, and there's dudes report. There's soldiers down at Fort Hood and other places that are reporting in on this and giving a little bit of insight. You have some insight from what you've learned, and I've heard some things too. And I've heard that there is a large number of Red Star tanks that are identified as the Chinese on the border down by California.
What is Chinese flag? Isn't it a scythe and a star or some shit like that? Or is that Russia?
No, that's the Soviet Union. That's the Soviet Union. But they were Red Star. The Chinese were that Red Star. Remember that Red Dawn? Yeah. The Red Dawn. That was the red star with the yellow around it, I think. Mm-hmm. But 1,000 tanks. So here's a fun fact. If you were to transport
Korea though, in Red Dawn, North Korea.
Yeah, maybe it was North Korea.
Well, the original one was Russia. The second one, I was burped in the mic. Sorry about that, guy.
But this is the thing that makes me interested because I'm going to have to go home and research this with Ashley after I finish this. Is because the thought of transporting these things, which you had a good explanation. We talked about it on the phone not too long ago. So if you're going to transport these using American technology, if you use what is it, C5? You can only transport giant. The thing nose lifts up on these
M1 Abrams tanks in there.
But that's it.
Abrams weighs 72 tons.
But that's it. 2. You could put 2 in that giant aircraft.
Yeah.
Think about that though.
We're talking 2 a day for 4 years. That's a lot more than 1,000.
Yes,
you know what
for
I'm saying?
4 years. Have they been working on it for 4 years? I don't know, but I feel like that's a far-fetched idea. So let's talk about a ship.
Yeah,
you know, how many Abrams can you transport on one of those cargo ships? You know, that's something we need to dig in. But the idea of maybe they built these things on Mexican territory is not a far-fetched idea. No. It's a believable idea.
Essentially, all you have to do is
dig into.
Just look up Mexican trade deal, China's. Here, we'll find it right now. You can iPad out.
So the root of the Chinese. So the Chinese is in fact. It is confirmed. It's not on the mainstream media because they don't want people freaking out. They don't want people.
But it's not. See, it's confirmed, but it's not. China is Mexico's 4th biggest export market in 2014. So 2014 is when they established a trade deal.
Okay. Well, that's enough time. That's enough. That's plenty enough time.
Trading partner. Mexico's exports to China amount to $5 billion each year, while Mexico imports from China amount of $66 billion with a difference of 61 billion. So there's a $61 billion deficit in China's favor. Jesus Christ. So let's see. Let's try China trade.
So what? Mexico owes China how much money?
This is a trade deficit. So they're paying China to trade with them essentially. China trade deal with military. See what that brings up. USMCA trade pact for Canada and Mexico throwing China under bus was no brainer. That's not it.
So on a side note here, as you're reading, so Donald Trump ordered the military and the National Guard there months ago, and he ordered the military there prior to doing his decision with the Chinese of their increased tariffs. Perhaps. I mean, I'm just throwing this out there.
Offset a trade deficit, though, because we were paying China essentially to trade with them.
Yeah, but what if the military at the border was not for this caravan? Because he already had the National Guard there. Why is he sending the full military
for China? Like some Pearl Harbor crap, dude.
Who, me?
Yeah, like because FDR knew about Pearl Harbor a week before. He's saying it's something like a secret squirrel mission going on.
I don't think Trump's a bad guy. I think Trump's being proactive. I think he knew that China was going to make a move with Mexico because it was inevitable. Because China looks at that tariff deal as an act of war.
Well, yeah. All right. So the propaganda machine. This is from the South China Morning Post. USMCA trade pact for Canada and Mexico throwing China under bus was a no-brainer. So The China card was something Mexican. Shit, I was just reading it. This is why we need a computer guy, man.
Don't worry about it, man. Let's just have conversation.
No, I want to look it up because it's actually I want to know it anyway. Article 32.1 of the preliminary agreement, which still had to be ratified by all three governments, and so and by no means a deal about. Okay, so from what I've read in the past, and I can't be 100% accurate on this, China is spinning like their own narrative, anti-American, They're pissed about the TVP one.
Yeah, because they were winning,
and two, they're pissed off at NAFTA because they were like proxy involved with that.
Of course they were, because we were a globalist society.
Yeah, well, we were fucking.
America was sold out to everyone.
Dude. It's so ingrained in my vocabulary.
We were completely globalized.
Where China threatened with isolation by U.S. Mexico.
We were completely taken over by all these other countries and had our hand in everything, and the government had its hand in everything, and everybody was reliant on everyone. That it would not surprise me if the Chinese were involved in the NAFTA and benefited greatly from it. Of course they did.
DHEA. Andrew Jones.
Oh, Chung, he's trying to tell him they banned DHA with the pro-hormone ban in 2014, I think.
This guy, man, he's a good dude. He's a really good dude. He's, ex-military. We're not going to use any first names, but... he's a good dude. He's like a quiet backwoods kid. I don't even know how to describe it. The guy, like, he's Asian and he loves suits and he looks Asian as hell on his social medias platforms or whatever, but he's not like that.
He's pretty just mellow level. He's from Guam.
Yeah.
He's from Guam. He's an island guy.
Yeah, he'll see this and be like, what the hell, man?
Guys, you guys talk about me, man. Hey, our next topic, we'll go more into China and the migrant and everything else a little more. I'm gonna have to research the factories producing tanks and see if that's legit and see what we can find out about that. But as far as I'm concerned, I believe, and it's not even a question, it just makes perfect sense because I know
tactically it does.
The last 5 years,
that's a ballsy move, though.
Or for the last 8 years, dude, I've been involved in keeping eyes on China and what they're doing over in the South China Sea area, and I know how they operate. I know what they see as an act of war. I know what they see as they need to move military presence and power of force and force projection. Definitely agreements like that to cut out. They're a business organization. They went from super communist to they collapsed in. It is 100% that government is owned and operated by businesses. It is all business oriented. If you cut the legs off the business in China, they will react with military force.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That will happen. That is happening. That's happening.
So Russia, dude. Like, look at Russia, dude. Oh, did you see what's going on in Russia?
We gotta talk about this California fires, man. Yeah.
No, hold on. I think we got to touch on this.
So let's go on another one after this episode. Let's talk about Russia because I got stuff to talk about Russia. Some really cool, some eye-opening things, man.
Tell me not to cut you over busted ass. These mics are sensitive. That's gonna show up.
Hey, the California fires, man. So interesting things I've been watching. What have you learned about this this campfire? Let's not even call it campfire.
That's a hoax. I think it's a false flag. I think
it's a false flag operation.
So
too.
It's funny. We talk about super weapons and the Chinese and the migrant crises and the California fires. The reason I think that we're talking about all those is because they all intermingle.
They're all interconnected.
I think so.
Yeah, I believe so.
Like
too.
The migrant crisis is somewhat of a distraction.
Some would say, some have said that the Chinese could be possibly funding that too and helping with Soros because Soros has a hand in the Chinese.
Well, okay, so when Trump went to the UN and said, "Listen here, you SOBs, we're pulling out of this global bullcrap, globalist horse trap."
Yeah, when he started saying, I'm going to take care of America, I'm going to take care of America, and I'm only going to take care of America.
Right. So then guess who steps up? Who is the number 2 economy in the world at that point?
China. Actually, it's not.
It's China, dude. They have the most power next to us. Military and economic.
You mean, yeah, influence.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So guess who
But their economy is inflated.
The champ retired.
It's super inflated like us.
Let's put it that way. The champ retired from the UN, United States.
Yeah.
Like, F off.
The biggest sellout of the world was the United States as far as globalism. We gave more money and more assets and more milk. We've sacrificed more troops, more everything for the globalist agenda than anyone. And then we said, no, we're done with you.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump we finally have a president that cares about America.
We had the authority to do that, essentially. That's how it happened. Nobody had the balls prior to stand up to the cog.
Nobody wanted to.
No, well, yeah, because they were all benefits. Like,
because
I love the argument, like a politician, right? You're a politician, you go into politics, okay, and you come out a millionaire.
Every one of them.
2 years, and you're worth millions.
Yeah, Clinton. We came out of the White House.
What's their salary?
And we were just
like 100
dead
some
broke.
Yeah, and then we stole $200,000 worth of furniture. Like,
come on.
That's where they started the Clinton.
Clinton was an empire.
Doing fucking
Clinton's always an empire.
Doing speeches for $500,000 and $400,000.
What are you saying to people? What are you saying to people that is so great that it's worth $500,000?
Have you ever listened to one of their speeches? Like,
how much did they pay Mr. Rogers?
Dude, you need to.
They probably didn't pay him.
All right, so have you ever
documentary?
You ever watched a Hitler speech?
I did. Yeah,
I watched a bunch of.
Yeah,
because I've always wondered, like, how did this fucking little short? No offense, you can't correct that. The short little arrogant failure pissant guy influenced an entire region of people. So it's curious. It makes me curious. So I've done the same for like Hillary Clinton. Like, what in the hell makes people listen to this chick? Right? Why? Like, she's never done anything. The only thing she can fall back on is the women's suffrage crap that she did. That's not crap. But
you know why? I'll tell you why, man. Because the world is filled with lies. People have a fake Facebook, a faker Instagram, and even faker Tinder account. They live in a world of lies, and they don't live in reality. And when you listen, I'll tell you how. Because when you speak all lies, you're pleasing the masses that worship the lies, that live in the lies. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
She's telling them what they want to hear rather than what they need to hear. Trump's telling people what they need to hear, and he's getting people pissed off on the left and right. Why? Because he vowed that he's going to take care of the people before the people and drain the damn swamp. Why did Hillary Clinton get close to winning that election? Because she'll do anything to get in power. Because that's all she wants, dude. That's all she's
ever wanted was power.
Just like Obama. Oh, change. I'm going to give you everything. You're going to get handouts, buyouts, bailouts, eat-outs. I'm going to take care of you. Yeah, guess what happened? Worst economic period ever, period, besides the Great Depression. Mm-hmm. Worst conditions ever, period, for African Americans, period.
Yeah, unemployment rate. Unemployment was going up the whole time.
Worst conditions ever for the middle class because it didn't even exist. It was taken out almost.
Yeah,
he almost eliminated the middle class.
I think that's what the whole agenda.
People didn't want to work. People weren't proud. There was no nationality. Yeah, there's no. That's you talk about Mike Dice or Mark Dice.
Yeah.
Seeing how people are so damn stupid in California. Why? It's because they're from the Obama generation. They're from the Obama.
I'm from the Obama
8 years. No, you're not.
Yeah, I did. I voted for him once, dude.
Everyone, they say that people.
I did. I voted for him.
When people.
I was in Afghanistan. I voted for him. 2011. He's like, I can't. I gotta leave. I gotta go home now.
No, you think
I was working for the guy technically.
That's crazy though, because I worked for him too.
Yeah,
No,
I know.
Yeah, and I definitely saw the result of him being in office.
Well, no shit.
The military went downhill, dude, man. It was bad.
You know my story.
Yeah.
Imagine where the real life and death decisions affect you. Like, no, you can't shoot that guy because he's over that magic line, or no, you can't stop them from doing something that's absolutely horrible and you'd be put to death for it in our country. Like stuff like that.
I think it was more than that. I think it's just the fact that he had zero. It was just like I met Chuck Hagel. I had to go represent my command over in Yokota, Japan, a Dakota Air Base, and man, Chuck Hagel gets off Air Force One, and he's wearing green khakis, pink socks, brown loafers, and a tucked-in button-up blue shirt. Right, so this guy looks like a damn rainbow, and he gets off and says some speech and blah blah blah, and then this big old muscular female gunnery sergeant gets up, says, "Sir." Everybody's kind of just like hair on the back of the neck stands up, says, "Sir, with all due respect, why did you take this position?" And then he said an answer that made me lose all confidence and all faith in our standing government and our command structure, from the White House down to whatever.
A trillion times for me.
And that's why I realized that those people are just politicians, because his answer was this: I support Barack Obama and his mission, period. He didn't say anything about the Department of Defense, didn't say anything about the soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen and coasties. What are coasties called? Coasties? I just call them coasties.
Yes.
Are they sailors?
I think it's the same thing.
Are they sailors too?
I'm pretty sure. I stayed on a Coast Guard base in Elizabeth City. I used to work for Blackwater at one point.
Midshipmen? No, because they're coasties.
Because they got airmen too.
Yeah, they do have airmen. Mm-hmm. Just call them coasties.
I don't know. I screwed around with a chick that was in the Coast Guard.
Okay, that's a side combo.
No, all right. So back to these fires, dude. We just went off on another tangent.
Did we even talk about the fires?
I didn't think we did. This is what happens when you get two weirdos.
No, you can't. No, this is what you get when you. No, that whole conversation was like military side combo that we should.
Yeah, if you guys haven't gathered right now, if you don't know,
we're not.
We're both veterans, but we're not going to talk about that shit on this show. I feel like too many people use that as not necessarily an excuse. It's hard to explain. We're not going to talk about it. Let's just put it that way.
You're talking about it.
I know I'm talking about it.
Talking about it.
I'm talking about it so I can tell
you. He's talking about it. Things that we're not talking about it, but he's talking about it.
Thanks for clarifying.
All right. California fires.
All right. California fires. So you asked me what I thought that was.
I asked you what you knew about them.
Okay. This is what I
asked you what you knew.
What I know about them. All right. California fires. Apparently, it was started by 4 or 5 meth head looking people in the woods. Oh yeah, look up the mugshots. It's pretty funny. And they
wait. You're saying they already apprehended these people, found them guilty
of suspects, man? I don't know.
How did they do that?
I don't know. But let me finish. You want to know? I gotta tell you.
Yeah. All right. I'll tell you. I mean, it's just interesting. Every time there's a false flag operation, they always find the suspects right off the bat, or they know who they are right off the bat.
Well, satellites, man, are linked up. Buttons tapping. R2D2.
Okay, then who the hell broke in my vehicle? 3 years ago.
Well, no,
I call bull craps.
So essentially, campfire started it. It spread at record rates. Blah blah blah. I don't believe it was a campfire. If you look at the satellite images of the time lapse of the fire, which you can find on the internet, believe it or not, I think it's a National Geological website. Is that what it is? Isn't it geology?
I don't know, man. I get all my research from either deep searching. I almost Googled it. Yeah. Deep searching on the internet, or man, I just look up YouTube videos because they can't suppress everything. You're gonna find truth somewhere in podcasts like this. I tell you what, looking at aerial shots of that fire,
it's not necessarily okay. So truth is perceived. I don't know how people feel like they get. That makes it sound bad.
I don't think truth is perceived. I think that's an argument that people are having out there, and modern psychologists are having, because psychologists have debates over things that are not relevant because they're trying to confuse people to make their jobs more important.
Maybe I said that wrong. I feel like the only way to know what's absolute truth is if you see it with your own 2 eyes.
Yes, and people just know. People just know. When you connect your gut instinct, your heart, and your mind. Yeah.
Intuition.
Yeah, it just winks.
Chris Farley. And
you just know. Yeah, you just know when things are right and things are wrong. And there's just a lot of if you have to ask yourself why, and somebody tells you shut up.
Yeah.
There's probably not truth there.
Okay. Well, here's another thing. So what do you think happened?
I don't know what happened, and that is truth. I don't know. But I have some ideas. So I have 2 ideas.
So I said, what do you think happened?
Yeah, I have 2 ideas. Well, I don't. Yeah, okay. Okay. All right. What I think happened, I think there's two ideas that I have at this moment. And one of those involves China, and one of them involves the corrupt government in California. Because both things are incredibly. I gotta be careful holding that Antichrist symbol up there, but that's another day. Oh, man, that's 666. In case you don't know, 666. So next time you see your friendly pop star and rock star holding that symbol up, you know exactly what it's from. Your movie stars. Anyways, I think the two ideas I have. One being, do you know about the high-speed train that was going to be built in California?
Yeah, wasn't Elon Musk's company, the Boring Company, digging a tunnel for that?
Yeah, so this
maglev train.
This thing was already purchased. This thing was already supposed to be built. Yeah. They've been working on it for
10 years or something.
Yeah, way too long. And the deadline's already passed. Here's the thing. You know what's holding up in an eminent domain? People don't want to move out of their houses. Believe it or not, in California, those guys want migrants to come in and everybody else, and they want Bibles out of church, out of schools, and out of houses, but they won't give up their house for a high-speed train. Believe it or not, people. You know. Meanwhile, down the road, they're videotaping gay porn out in the open in public and smoking a joint right there while they're taking out the trash. But they won't move out of their house for the high-speed train, which is unconstitutional, by the way. Anyways, for eminent domain. Yeah, it's absolutely unconstitutional. So I'm right there with them. I 100% support them and believe in that. So what is the California government benefit from the high-speed train? A lot of money, transit, and a lot of tourism. You know, because you have maps out there, poop map of LA. You got, it's just California has gone to crap in a handbasket. Let's just face it, California's garbage. You know, you go out there, it's going to crap. And then you look on the news, and the people in the north want no part of the south. And the south is taken over by MS-13, everybody else, that's going on down there. They don't.
Oh, you're talking about San Diego?
I'm talking about everywhere. It's just chaos over in California. So there's a lot to benefit.
It's like that a lot in a lot of border towns all the way across the southern border.
Yeah, but if you look at the images of where they're going to build that train,
or where they're projected to build it, and the satellite imaging or the imaging that they built of where compiled, that was the word I was looking for, compiled of where the fire affected, it perfectly aligns with that train and where it was going to be routed. And all the issues with eminent domain will be eliminated with that fire taken over. Right.
You can't defend living in a house and not moving if you no longer have a house.
That is true.
Because it's not like these fires are just taking out the structure. Those fires are completely breaking them down.
Have you seen any pictures?
Which is insane, man. Which is insane.
Pictures?
I have saw pictures.
I see your theory. I like that theory. That's pretty interesting. That throws a few light bulbs up in my brain. But my favorite theory
is the Chinese with their laser weapons.
I don't think it's the Chinese. So
who do you think it is?
I think it's us. I think
under whose command?
I don't know. That's the thing.
You think somebody went rogue? A coup?
Okay, so I heard that they want to build a hadron collider in California.
Gosh, man.
Okay.
California's so
I don't even remember where I heard this.
Man.
And I might have had some crazy weird dream, but I swear I heard that somebody's CERN, I don't know if it's CERN, but somebody's talking about building a smaller version of the hadron collider up there. And they need a land to do it. And I do believe that there's a military base really close to where the fire started, where they test
nuclear weapons.
I don't think it's weapons. I think it's like
nuclear
jet
site,
engines or some shit like that.
It was a nuclear site.
Are you sure?
Yes, 100%. I can't
remember. Look that up.
I can't remember the name of it. Yeah.
Look that up real quick for me, please. So anyway, they have these satellites, the Star Wars satellites, which were signed into development by either Bush Sr. or maybe Clinton. I don't remember which one, but anyway, the satellite has a laser on it. It super concentrates a light beam, or that's what a laser is, and it heats up the warhead, and it explodes. So that was back in the 90s, and the way that technology advances today. Before you go on a tangent, let me finish this. I see your face. I see it. I know,
dude, because I just learned something I didn't know.
So this laser, right? Who's to say that they didn't make a big ass version of it? Because they have used lasers to shoot in the atmosphere to manipulate the weather. It stimulates like the ions in the atmosphere.
Yeah, so they're doing clouds. Man, we could talk about geo stuff.
So anyway,
geoengineering.
They use these lasers or like gamma or microwave or something, because check this out. I've seen pictures of cars in the middle of the street completely torched, but none of the grass or anything around the cars is touched. Mm-hmm. I saw a picture of a perfectly untouched swing set. So you're in the middle of a playground that was completely burnt down. I seen pictures of a house cut in perfect half, and like all the fire just stopped in a perfect line.
And then all the trees next to the house, not even like how did it spread? How did it spread?
Plastics, and
there's a picture of a car with a hood just burnt.
They were saying that temperatures inside of some of these houses were reaching 3,000 to 5,000 degrees.
Yeah. Well, they have metal. In California, they have metal framed houses.
Yeah, but even metal.
No, the metal was melted in some of those.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, a wood fire wouldn't get to that.
A typical fire inside of a house.
Brings you into 9/11.
Yeah, but bring up these statistics. It only gets to like 1,100 degrees in your typical house fire. That's the hottest it gets. Like, and that's
what you're talking about, brother. Is the second theory of mine.
Yeah,
and that is the laser weapons. And let me tell you,
that's what I'm talking about.
Let's talk about.
Is it laser or is it microwave? Who knows?
Well, the military, I know for a fact that we've been using modern technology and weaponology in the Navy. We've been using laser weapons that are capable of taking on an airplane in midair.
Yeah,
I've practiced on drones. They took out drones.
Future weapons.
I mean, within seconds. There's no visible laser beam. There's no visible anything. You target it. You shoot the laser beam at it, and it takes it out. It lights it on fire. You put it on the rudder, and it takes it out, and the plane crashes and burns. And then we look at the sound wave technology. The Army's been using that for almost probably a decade. The sound wave stuff.
You know, it's so easy to go off on so many different topics.
I know.
As you say, sound waves, it's just making me think of like all kinds of like looking through a set or a telescope and seeing what a star actually
looks like. I will post video of we will go out there. You know what? That's what we'll do. We'll take my camera. Yeah, we'll do a live out there in. No portable devices can carry that much energy. Well, here's the thing. The
I didn't even
military. No, we got a message. That's good. Look up the military aircraft that actually has the laser installed on it, because it is definitely portable and it does have enough energy. Look up the E-2 Hawkeye. Definitely has enough energy. Look up what's the P-8 Poseidon has enough energy. Those are definitely energy weapons. We use those to jam radar systems. We use those
ECM
ECM jamming. We use those same technology to take out other enemy satellite location radar systems, communication systems prior to going in and attacking. That's not classified information. That's on Google. People can Google. So there is portable devices that can carry that much energy, but it doesn't necessarily have to be portable. But if you were to talk about portable, let's look at the original, radar systems. Those were portable that we used, right?
Yeah.
Those are massive energy usable devices. Those put out an extreme amount and use up an extreme amount of energy and require it to use.
Are you talking about using radar
for aviation?
Yeah.
Our initial air traffic control system use mobile radar systems.
Right.
So good comment on there is out.
Even microwave. There's
microwave. You watch it, brother, but yeah, definitely there is technology out there, portable devices that can carry that much energy. That is a real thing. That's not even debatable, man. It's capable. What is debatable is whether or not any of that was actually used in this case. But there is a lot of visual evidence that I've seen and Matt's seen that does point to something is not right about it.
Yeah,
for
sure.
On a geography level, though, California is definitely prone to have wildfires. But this is not acting like a wildfire. No firefighter in that area, no firefighter that's ever worked in that area, no emergency responder can agree. And definitely everyone says, and being very vocal, this is not a normal wildfire. The only people that say it is on your mainstream media.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's hard to say.
And on that nuclear site we talked about earlier, this is alarming. I just learned. This was at the site of the worst nuclear disaster in American history that nobody talks about. In 1959, a sodium experiment reactor partially melted down in that location. The location is called Santa Susana Field Laboratory. That was the worst nuclear meltdown. That was worse than 3 Mile Island. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah, I never even heard about that until just now.
Yeah, I
knew there was some type of base over by there, and a lot of people were speculating that they had a lot to do with it.
Anyways, that's where the Woosley fire started, and it was right by that reactor or that nuclear site. That was very, very interesting.
Interesting.
So that's the California fires. Definitely two interesting points of view. We both agree on, or at least have a commonality in that last one.
Yeah.
And you definitely seem like your eyes were pretty open on the idea of perhaps maybe it had something to do with the rail car. I mean, maybe it has something to do with both of them, because you know who has high speed train? China has a high speed train. So does Japan. But I think the Chinese would have more interest in that kind of industry because they are a business oriented country. It is all about business. It always has been about business. And their business is very much hurting right now. So long as Trump is in office, their business hurts. And any act against their business is an act of war.
In their mind. I mean, that's why they call it a trade war.
Yeah, it's a war. Different kind of war, but it's a war. So this will conclude today's truth session, and pick and choose what you want. Take it with a grain of salt. But we empower you guys to take what you heard today and dig in, find the truth, dig in, find more evidence, find more support. There is laser rifles which can fire a wood board, but nothing set on fire in town and forest that could be recharged. We're not talking about rifles.
No, we're talking about satellite-based.
We are not talking about
weapons.
We're not talking about a weapon that you can put on your shoulder like an RPG and go pointing around, because this is way big of an area. This is too big of an area.
He's talking about laser charged weapons, which there's no.
We're talking
he's
about,
right though, and when he's talking about rifles, there's no portable. I'm pretty sure that there's no weapon that size.
No, if it would, he'd be talking about like
the battery would be astronomically huge.
You know what I just remembered? What we're talking about is Tesla's invention of the ray gun.
I'm not familiar with that.
Oh man, you need to look that up.
I'm gonna have to.
This ray gun, the ray gun. It's not. There's no. It was talked about. People knew it was a thing. People knew it was an idea, but the problem is when Tesla died, the FBI came and seized up all of his writings, all of his.
Was it the FBI or was it somebody else? Because I don't think when did that happen?
It was, or whoever, some government that took it to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and held on that information and kept it from his family. And when his family got it, it was all redacted. You need to look that up, dude. Yeah. But the ray gun is one of the arguable things they invented. But it definitely was not portable. It was not portable as a stationary unit, but this thing could shoot down aircraft. That's what his theory. He invented this thing. He patented it, and it was to be able to shoot down aircraft. And he wanted to destroy the evidence and destroy that he even created it. But he passed away. And some say that the government got that technology, or at least got the ideas of it.
I mean, you know damn well.
But you know damn well they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was their full intentions.
I mean, history of aviation. So the Wright brothers tried to get a patent for an airplane, right? And were denied a bunch of times. They called it the flying machine or whatever, right? And deemed it essentially useless.
Wasn't it Flying Wayne or something?
I don't know. I can't remember. But I know they got denied a few times for the patent. Was he typing again? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, so it wouldn't surprise me if the government came across a patent that seemed interesting or useful in a sense.
Oh, you think they came across it like that?
Well, if he tried to file for any type of patents, they'd have to.
He was one of the most popular men in America. People knew what he was working on. It was well wrote about. Definitely, there was something to gain from having him on your side.
I mean, essentially,
they got everybody else on their side.
Yeah, he discovered Wi-Fi. I know that.
He discovered a lot of things. We should talk about Tesla someday.
We should have
on a podcast. Yeah. All right, guys, we're done here. Seek out truth. Take it as a grain of salt, and
don't be a pussy.
Okay.
And no, like, don't be afraid to share your opinions. Talk to people about this stuff.
Zal,
ask questions.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, and thanks for watching, Zal. Don't be afraid to comment again, and hopefully we got clear and concise answers for everybody. See ya.
All right.